Ladies and gentlemen, seekers, wanderers, curious minds, welcome. There is a question so old, so persistent, that it has haunted the halls of philosophy, religion, and psychology since human beings first looked into the night sky and wondered. The question is deceptively simple. Who am I? Now, on the surface, that sounds like a very straightforward question. We say, I am John, or I am Mary, or I am Fatima, or I am David. We say, I am a teacher, a businessman, a student, a parent. We even say, I am a soul, or I am a body, or I am a mind. But if we go deeper, we begin to see that this I we talk about, this sense of being a separate self, cut off from the rest of the universe, is not nearly as solid as it seems. I call this the illusion of the separate self. And tonight, I'd like to take you on a journey not to give you something new, not to add more beliefs to your already cluttered shelf, but to help you see through the game you've been playing with yourself. Most of us live as though we are little islands of consciousness, sealed off inside a bag of skin. We think of ourselves as skin-encapsulated egos, the pilot inside the body, the ghost inside the machine, the little man behind the eyes who looks out upon a world that is separate and external. This is the picture most of us inherit without even questioning it. The world is out there, and I am in here. There's me, and there's the environment. There's the observer, and there's the observed. It seems so obvious, doesn't it? You look through your eyes and see a tree. The tree is not you. You hear the sound of a bird. The bird is not you. You feel the chair beneath you. The chair is not you. And yet, if we look closely, the separation begins to dissolve. Take your breath, for example. You inhale, you exhale. The air comes in, the air goes out. Where does you end and the world begin? Is the air outside the body part of you? Not yet. But the moment it enters your lungs, it becomes part of your blood, your cells, your very life. And then, when you exhale, it goes back out into the atmosphere, perhaps to be breathed in by a tree, which then transforms it into oxygen again, which you later breathe back in. So tell me, where is the boundary? Where exactly do you stop and the world begins? It's a process, a flow, a dance. There isn't a hard boundary at all, only a rhythm. You see, the self and the world are not two things, they are aspects of a single happening. Consider the ocean. Waves rise and fall, and each wave appears unique. One wave may be tall, another small, another foamy, another smooth. But no wave exists apart from the ocean. A wave is simply the ocean in motion. Likewise, we are waves of the universe. Each of us has a unique form, a unique pattern, but none of us exists independently. Alan Watts once said, "You are a function of what the whole universe is doing, in the same way that a wave is a function of what the whole ocean is doing." This is not poetry, my friends. It is plain fact. You did not come into this world, you came out of it. Now, part of the illusion of the separate self is the belief that we are in control, little captains at the helm, steering our destiny. We say, I decide to raise my hand. I decide to think this thought. I decide to be who I am. But if you look honestly at your own mind, you'll see that thoughts arise unbidden. You don't decide to think them any more than you decide to beat your heart. They simply happen. And yet, the ego, the little voice inside your head, takes credit, like a politician who shows up at the ribbon-cutting ceremony and declares, "Look what I have built." The truth is, life is happening through you, not because of you. So why do we cling so tightly to the illusion of being separate? Because it's a marvelous game. Life is a kind of hide and seek. The universe hides itself as you and me, so that it can play at being many instead of one. Imagine watching a play where every actor was the same person. It would be terribly dull. The richness of existence comes from the dance of diversity. But behind the masks, it's still one actor. Behind the many faces, it's still oneself. Nowhere does the illusion of separateness bite harder than in our fear of death. If I am a separate self, then when this body dies, I am gone forever. That thought terrifies us. But if we see that we are not separate, that we are waves of the ocean, expressions of the whole, then death is not an end, but a return. When a wave falls back into the ocean, is it lost? No. It simply becomes ocean again, as it always was. You may say, all right, this is all very interesting, but what difference does it make? It makes all the difference in the world. If you see yourself as separate, life is a battle. It's you against the world. You must cling, defend, accumulate, compete. And with that comes endless anxiety. But if you see yourself as part of the whole, life becomes play. You can relax. You can trust the flow. You can live with compassion, because harming others is harming yourself. This is not mystical nonsense. It is the most practical thing you could ever realize. So, what happens when you see through the illusion? You don't become a saint. You don't float on clouds. You don't suddenly acquire superpowers. What happens is far simpler and far more profound. You begin to live. You laugh more easily. You cry more freely. You let go of control and join the dance. And you realize that the universe has always been playing you, like a musician plays an instrument, like a dancer moves across the floor. So let us return to the question, who am I? You are not merely this bag of skin, this isolated ego trapped in the prison of individuality. You are the universe, expressing itself as a human being. The illusion of the separate self is like a dream, and awakening from it is not the destruction of individuality, but the discovery of unity. So dance, laugh, live, and remember, you are it. Now, let us look a little more closely at this peculiar habit of ours, this tendency to carve the universe into neat little boxes. Me and not me, inside and outside, mind and matter. We have been trained since childhood to draw these lines. Parents tell us, this is your toy, not your brother's. Teachers say, this is your answer, your grade. Society insists, this is your land, your nation, your God. And so, quite early on, we become convinced that the world is divided into separate pieces, like a jigsaw puzzle scattered across a table. But you see, the universe does not come neatly labeled. The birds do not sing with passports. The trees do not grow with fences. The clouds do not ask permission before drifting across borders. These divisions are human inventions, useful perhaps for managing the great play of life, but dangerous when we forget that they are inventions. We take them as absolute. We begin to live as though the map is the territory, as though the label is the thing itself. And once we have swallowed this illusion, we begin to believe in the most subtle and convincing division of all, that between self and world. I am in here. The world is out there. And between us lies a chasm. A fortress must be built, walls of thought and identity, to protect this precious me from the chaos of not me. But have you noticed something strange? No matter how fiercely you defend this self, it keeps slipping through your fingers. You try to define it, to say I am this, I am that, but it shifts like smoke. I am my body, you say, but your body is changing every second. Cells die, new cells arise, until almost every atom of your flesh has been replaced within a few years. So, are you the body you were 10 years ago? Or you say, I am my mind. But thoughts flow like a river. Where is the thinker who controls them? One thought arises, another replaces it, like waves on the sea. Are you the thinker, or are you the thought? You try to grasp it, but it is like trying to bite your own teeth. So what then is this self we defend with such ferocity? A story, a construct, a kind of mirage that dances in consciousness? And the more tightly we hold to it, the more alienated we become from life itself. Let me give you a very ordinary example. You are walking down the street, and someone looks at you in a way you don't like. Immediately the self-illusion kicks in. Why are they looking at me like that? What do they think of me? And off you go, spinning stories in your head about how others perceive your precious identity. But notice, it is only a ghost reacting to shadows. For the me that you are defending is not a real thing. It is a narrative, a bundle of memories and expectations. We are haunted by this ghost self, and in being haunted, we become restless. We chase endlessly money, recognition, power, security. We think if we can only build a strong enough fortress, we will finally be safe. But no fortress can protect an illusion. And so we remain anxious, forever on edge, because deep down we know the thing we are protecting is not really there. And this is why modern life is so full of stress. Look at the way we structure our days. The endless busyness, the constant checking of phones, the obsession with productivity. It is as though we are trying to prove every second that we are real, that we matter, that this self we carry is solid. But the more we grasp, the more it slips away. You see, when you truly understand that the separate self is an illusion, something remarkable happens. The whole world softens. You stop trying to clutch at life, and you let it flow. You no longer demand that people recognize you, because you see there is no hard boundary between you and them. You no longer live as a lonely island, but as part of the great continent of being. So I say to you, the greatest discovery you can make is not that you are something grand, not that you are immortal, not that you are destined for some eternal reward. The greatest discovery is that you are not who you thought you were, and in that recognition, the prison door swings open. For you are not in the world is in you. You are not a separate drop, the drop is the ocean. You are not a lonely self, the self is the dance of the cosmos. And when you see this, truly see it, you can finally stop running. You can finally be at home.